So, what do you all think? Lando Norris, finally a Grand Prix winner after 110 races. Do you remember what it was like when your favourite driver won their first race? You know, Michael Schumacher at the 1992 Belgian Grand Prix. That is literally almost my entire lifetime ago. Damon Hill at the 1993 Hungarian Grand Prix. David Coulthard at the 1995 Portuguese Grand Prix. Johnny Herbert at the 1995 British Grand Prix. Jacques Villeneuve at the 1996 European Grand Prix at Nürburgring. Olivier Panis winning his only ever Grand Prix at the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. Mika Hakkinen at 1997 European Grand Prix at Jerez. Eddie Irvine at the 1999 Australian Grand Prix. Heinz Alfredson at the 1997 San Marino Grand Prix. Barrichello at the 2000 German Grand Prix. Ralf Schumacher at Imola 2001. Montoya at Monza 2001. Kimi Räikkönen at the 2003 Malaysian Grand Prix. Hungary, Alonso winning his first race in the 2003 Hungarian Grand Prix. Fisichella winning the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix. Of course, that was only given to him about 10 days, about 9 days after the race was done. Who else? Jarno Trulli at the 2004 Monaco Grand Prix. Jenson Button at the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix. Hamilton at the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix. Kovalainen at the 2008 Hungarian Grand Prix. Kubica at the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix. Vettel at the 2008 Italian Grand Prix. But Webber at the 2009 German Grand Prix at Nürburgring. Oh man, I don't know what to say, but you know, winning your first race is really special. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, Daniel Ricciardo winning his first race at the 2014 Canadian Grand Prix. Bottas at the 2017 Russian Grand Prix. Verstappen at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Leclerc at the 2019 Belgian Grand Prix. Perez at the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. Gasly at the 2020 Italian Grand Prix. Ocon at the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. And of course today, hello to the two people watching this, but of course today, Lando Norris winning his first race in the 2022 Grand Prix. I'm sorry, I've just spent the last 4 minutes naming all the first-time Grand Prix winners since Michael Schumacher's win at the 1992 Belgian Grand Prix. I've probably forgot a few drivers, but I think, you know, I'm watching the Channel 4 highlights. I think I'm just going to do a quick, like, video. I'm just going to, like, sit there and just do a special ask a question now. Can Lando Norris actually become a world champion? I know that's a big question to ask, but up until today, Norris had been holding the record for the most podiums in Formula One without a win, which was 14 race wins. But of course, now that he's finally won a race, the record has returned back to Nick Heidfeld. And the way Lando Norris controlled the race when he decided to gamble and stayed on the same hard tyres after Verstappen pitted and got a bit of luck with the crash between Magnussen and Sargeant. Meaning, so when the safety car came out, he got a free pit stop, meaning that Norris was able to have a new set of medium tyres that were about no. He started the race on mediums and then he got onto the hards. The new hard tyres were 6 laps younger than what Verstappen had. And because of the tyre life, Norris was able to take advantage and just sprint away into the lead and won by 8 seconds. An unbelievable drive, but the question has to be asked, but even though it was a superb race performance, it has to be said, though, Norris was a bit poor in both qualifying sessions in the sprint and for the main race qualifying. I mean, he bought a chance of pole position for the sprint race and ended up down in 9th. And then, of course, he had a fairly average main race qualifying session, down in 6th place. So I would give him a grade of maybe an A minus in that. I don't think he fully capitalized his opportunities this weekend, but whilst it might seem like a crazy question to ask whether Lando Norris could really become a world champion, I mean, the fact of the matter is, we did see his pace and potential in his early days at McLaren, where he gave Carlos Sainz a good run for his money, and then he fully dispatched Ricciardo in the 2 years they were together and completely crushed the confidence out of the Australian 8-time Grand Prix winner. No mean feat, you've got to realise. And he did have a chance of winning the 2021 Russian Grand Prix, where, of course, he decided to gamble on the rain not coming down, but it did come down, and he paid the price for it and threw away what should have been a probable maiden Grand Prix win on that day. But the thing is, with Lando Norris, I think he has gained a lot of experience. He's learned a lot from his mistakes in the past. And in today's race win, he was so much calmer and so much more composed. He just drove the race like he was in a practice session, decided to ignore whatever the hell Verstappen was doing once he got out of the DRS train. I mean, is Lando Norris's racecraft as good as it should be? Probably not. I mean, sometimes he can lack assertiveness when it comes to overtaking moves. As for his teammate Oscar Piastri, I think he banged wheels with Carlos Sainz, and it's just unfortunate, really. It really is one of those things. It happens. That racing incidents that, of course, left Oscar Piastri all the way down in 17th place once he fell down the order and had to have a pit stop for his front wing change. But, of course, Oscar Piastri's only been in F1 for just over a year, so he's going to learn those sort of things. But as for Lando Norris, I mean, you've got to realise this. I don't think Max Verstappen can carry on winning forever, and I think Lando Norris, given the right car, given the right circumstances, I think could potentially become a world champion. But whether he could become a multiple world champion is another question, because, of course, those sort of things do rely on luck. They rely on, I don't know, other drivers having bad luck. Because, Jenson Button had a head start to the 2009 season. Kimi Raikkonen took advantage of Hamilton and Alonso fighting each other and taking points off each other. So, but, never say never. But, if Lando Norris can keep producing performance like that, at some point the law of averages have to deliver a championship for Norris one day, since, of course, he still is only 24 years old. And, of course, just as I'm watching the TV, it's just headed for an advert break, of course. As for Sergio Perez, I mean, I'm sorry, man. This guy's seat has got to be back under question again. He had a great start to the season, but... And it's a huge but, by the way. I mean, sorry, what were you thinking? Dive bombing? Trying to dive bomb your own teammate into the first corner like that? That is just... That just yells a driver who's just had enough. Who's had enough of being a number two. I know it's so frustrating, but that was far too narrow of a line to be taking into the first corner. A ridiculous move. Just insane. And, you know, with Yuki Tsunoda finishing 7th for RB today in the junior team, you've got to realise, like, okay, I know Tsunoda might be off to Aston Martin if the Honda company can agree a deal with Aston Martin, but since, of course, they've got Honda engines coming in 2026. But let's watch this incident again. I mean, Perez, I mean, he overtook both Ferraris and dive bombed, tried to dive bomb so many cars and dropped to 5th. That was just silly. Not acceptable, really, from an experienced 34-year-old number two. And you have to sit there and ask yourself, what were you doing, Perez? Like, I know Tsunoda, Red Bull might not be totally keen on promoting Tsunoda into the number two seat of their team, but like, it's either Perez or it's either Ricciardo to be in that number two seat within the Red Bull family. And you've also got to remember, Liam Lawson also exists on the Red Bull Junior Academy test bench. Like, should you really be keeping... I mean, someone has to go. Someone has to leave out of those 4 drivers I've just mentioned. Like, okay, I know Liam Lawson isn't exactly super duper amazing in its own right, but... Oh, wow, I've just seen the two Alpines fighting each other for their lives there. But, of course, Perez, you know, I think he has 6 race wins to his name, which I have to say is not particularly great considering how quick the Red Bull has been. You know, in the 3 years he's spent at the team, I don't find that to be super impressive. I mean, sorry, Perez. Like, compare that to Bottas, who got a lot of stick for his performances at Mercedes, but he managed to win 10 races and got 20 poles. Perez, on the other hand, I think has only ever scored about 2 or 3 pole positions in addition to his 6 race wins. So, I mean, Perez is just a safe, I don't know, not even a safe pair of hands, to be honest. He's just there because he's just slightly better than Albon and Gasly at this point. So I don't really think Perez is safe in that Red Bull seat. And, you know, with Norris winning today, like, who knows? Red Bull might be tempted, like, who knows? Like, could Red Bull be tempted to get Lando Norris around? Heck, could Carlos Sainz be in a chance of getting that Red Bull seat for 2025? Like, you can't rule these things out, you know. Like, you've got to think, you have to think, like, Red Bull, like, and of course, with the whole Adrian Newey departure situation, I mean, Max Verstappen could be leaving Red Bull soon. So, you know, Perez's future is looking far, far less certain as we speak. Damn, wow. I don't really know. Please comment below what you think of Sergio Perez's future. I'm not particularly optimistic about it. I really, really, if I was Red Bull, I'd be trying to get someone like Carlos Sainz in, because Carlos Sainz, I think, has done a decent job as a number 2 at Ferrari, giving Leclerc quite a hard time, or maybe, and you know, maybe give Tsunoda a chance. And yeah, I'm watching the early part of the race. I mean, sure, what's it? Oscar Piastri had an amazing start, mind you. Just so unlucky with what, of course, with the safety car that came on later on. Oh no, but he got re-overtaken by him, Leclerc. I'm watching the Channel 4 highlights for those of you wondering. Gotta say it. I mean, Norris was just down in sixth for the start. That really does tell you what a remarkable race it was. And most of the field, except for Hamilton and Albon and a few others, were starting on medium tyres. Bottas was the only one who started on softs, quite a daft strategy considering both Sauber. I mean, I suppose he was just doing it because Sauber really didn't know what chances they had, but we're just hoping for some safety car. Like, I think Sauber have got the worst car in the field right now. Of course, Leclerc, I think, had a good weekend, quite a decent weekend. It's just, you know, no, Ferrari couldn't quite anticipate the safety car that would come in a race that well. I mean, you kind of got to try and anticipate a safety car at Miami because it's so tight. There's very little runoff. I'm not gonna rag on Ferrari too much though, because to be honest, realistically, are they really in a title fight? Not really. I think the only way they can really be in a title fight if Red Bull really do finally fall apart. My God, that overtake by Oscar Piastri on Leclerc around the outside, that was incredible. Like, got to say it. Look, Oscar Piastri was on fire early on in the race with that just brilliant overtake around the outside of Leclerc. I think Leclerc was kind of a little bit too conservative. I'm going to ask a few other questions of a few other drivers during this stream. And we're going to watch a replay at the start. Oscar and Sergio Perez, what was he thinking? He dived bombed both Ferraris and thought they had a chance of getting his teammate as well, but it turns out to be he missed his teammate by just this little bit. And I'm going to watch the replay. Damn. My God, Perez, what were you thinking, man? And Sainz was calling for a penalty for Perez. Blimey, really angry there. I don't know, man. The two Alpines were really going ding dong there. And because of that ding dong, Gasly was actually running quite high up, close to the top there earlier on. I forgot about this. Ocon was having to buy this time further down the pack after Gasly got out of the way. Of course, Norris, though, his pace, what's it earlier on, was really good. Like, it was pretty obvious Norris had the pace to win. It's just that his poor qualifying had cost him, it looked like he had cost him any chance of winning the race. Oh, nice move there by Hamilton down the inside of Hulkenberg. Of course, without Magnussen as his rear guard, I mean, Hulkenberg was left exposed. at times, with Magnussen having given a billion times penalties, and of course Magnussen's qualifying being so bad in the main qualifying session. But now it is time to ask another question. Can Charles Leclerc win a world championship with Ferrari? Again, it's a very subjective question since, of course, next year Lewis Hamilton will be joining the team, and of course the rumours that Adrian Newey could be coming. I mean, with Adrian, if Adrian Newey decides to go for one more move in his career and decides to make it Ferrari, Charles Leclerc is potentially a huge beneficiary if that happens. Because obviously the technical details, the planning that Adrian Newey gives to a team, it can be so crucial to how the car is designed and how the designers and engineers operate, especially in the aerodynamic department. And if Adrian Newey can get like the engine guys to design a more compact engine to create a more tighter rear end, and share the secrets of how he designed all those World Championship Red Bulls, Charles Leclerc will be absolutely odds on to win a World Championship. And I have to say, like, if Adrian Newey does come to Scuderia Ferrari, like, I think Charles Leclerc might well be expecting himself to get a championship as well. He will be talking about, yeah, I really do believe I'm going to become a world champion with this team. Whether Lewis Hamilton could take advantage of that, Adrian Newey potentially coming to Ferrari, is another question in itself, because of course Hamilton will be 40 years old. And of course, another question will be how competitive will Red Bull be? Because of course, that's going to be a huge question in 2026 when they get their Ford engines. I mean, as for Charles Leclerc's performance since, of course, the Australian Grand Prix where Carlos Sainz has won, I think Charles Leclerc has slowly began to like get the advantage back again against Sainz, you know, beating Sainz to a podium finish in China, and of course beating him to a podium in Miami once again. And you have to, gotta say it, I mean, Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, was very, very defensive. You know, Carlos Sainz doesn't quite have the raw pace of a Charles Leclerc. I mean, the thing is, though, Charles Leclerc's chances of winning a championship could also be improved if Carlos Sainz does get a seat at Red Bull or Mercedes, and Carlos Sainz decides to annoy whoever the number one driver is at those two teams, whether it's someone like George Russell, Max Verstappen, or whoever, I don't know, Red Bull decides to replace Max Verstappen with if Max Verstappen ever moves across to another team. You know, and that, you know, Carlos Sainz being the sort of driver who doesn't really care about team orders or like, and has a habit of like driving his own race. I mean, Charles Leclerc, if he can get the bit of Lewis Hamilton, can well take advantage of Carlos Sainz trying to annoy other people at other teams and potentially like take a few lucky race wins off it. Kind of a bit like how Kimi Raikkonen used to just win races at Ferrari, particularly during 2007 when Alonso and Hamilton were beating the daylights out of each other and taking points away from each other. I mean, and you know, and you also have to wonder, I think once Lewis Hamilton leaves Ferrari, which, I mean, let's be honest, how long is Lewis Hamilton's stint at Ferrari going to last for? I think if Charles Leclerc can absolutely pulverize him, then he will get his own little number two eventually. I don't know who that number two will be. It could be anyone. Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, I have no idea. But Charles Leclerc, I think, you know, if he can keep his form up, keep beating Carlos Sainz, like, and get a car that works properly, and have a Ferrari team whose strategy team actually does makes the correct decisions and doesn't annoy him all the time, and he can actually get the upper hand in the politics now that Carlos Sainz will be leaving the team. Absolutely, Charles Leclerc definitely has the potential to become a world champion, and of course, if he can cut out the mistakes when he's pushing really hard, know when to attack, when to back off, when to defend, Yeah, he can definitely do it, no doubt. I mean, we have been talking about him being a potential world champion all these years. And, well, I'm watching the race highlights. Of course, it's 22 laps in. Oh, man. So Max Verstappen pushing so hard on lap 21 went wide at a chicane and damaged the bollard. Oh, and blimey, that's some pretty rough driving there by Max Verstappen, looking very, very ruffled. And was that after he came into the pits to change his tyres to... Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, yeah, he brought out the virtual safety car because of that incident.
Virtual safety car is ending. Ocon came in, Alonso came in. Your timing and placement on the racetrack was absolutely crucial there. The green flag flies once again. The virtual safety car is withdrawn. Great work by the marshals at turn 16. And it doesn't give that benefit to absolutely everyone in the field. It was entirely down to where you placed your car on the circuit. Happenstance, really. Some have got the advantage. Others haven't. DRS is enabled once again. Max Verstappen has been called to the pits. He blends in. That's the blend line to the pit lane. And he had a lead of 3.
And would you look at that? Lap 23, Verstappen came and pitted.
Oscar Piastri leads the Grand Prix for McLaren.
2.2 seconds. What a black pit stop that was. Of course, as you probably realised, where was Norris? Of course, Norris stayed out.
So this cost a bit compared to Piastri. We need to push a bit more for these laps.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, Charles Leclerc stayed out. Did he stay out? Oh, he got jumped during the pit stops. Pretty unfortunate timing. I think Pierre Gasly went and stopped for tyres, but of course that pit stop really did actually cause Gasly under the virtual safety car.
Tsunoda is in 8th. And you can see the Mercedes in the pit lane.
I think my next question will be to ask
We go over the line. 3.1 second stop, so not ideal for the Mercedes team.
it's got to be to ask whether can George Russell win a world championship with Mercedes? And I think I'm going to have a quite a different take with this one because, yeah,
Hamilton has now come into the pits. Sainz has been called in. Sainz has been called for his stop. And George Russell trying that move around the outside.
oh, nice move there on was it Tsunoda? Where was he? No, it was on Ricciardo. No, it has to be said, or what's it? I Ricciardo really wasn't on the really wasn't quick today. My God.
Norris continues to circulate out there. 2.6 second stop for McLaren with Piastri. A 3.1 second stop for Sainz, who finds himself returning to the racetrack in 5th place with a sizable advantage over Perez. Not surprised Norris was staying out still. He's the quickest car on track in the top 5 there for the last few laps.
Yuki Tsunoda this season reminds me of 2008 Vettel. Well, you could say that, but you got to realise, though, I think Vettel was just 21 years old when he had his breakout season. Yuki Tsunoda is now about 24 years old, so he's not exactly that young, in spite of how youthful he looks. And oh yeah, look at this. This is the incident between Magnussen and Sargeant. Oh man, and Sargeant was wrote off the rear of his car there and did that collision with Magnussen. I think we're gonna have to rewatch this again. And would you look at that? The McLaren boys immediately jumped in, gone out into the pits, ready for Norris to have his pit stop once they brought out the safety car for the Sargeant Magnussen crash. Quick, swift thinking. Oh, hello there, Checkpoint Racing. I hope you're doing well. I'm good, thank you. And I'm just rewatching the highlights of the race, and yeah, I'm watching the part of the race where Sargeant and Magnussen had their crash together, and Sargeant pretty much forced the safety car to come out, and Norris was able to take advantage of it. And by the time the safety car came out, I think, what was it? There was a 17-second gap between Norris and Verstappen. And I know there was loads of other people that then came to the pits again, like Perez, Tsunoda, and Zhou, who all came into the pits at this point. Damn. Oh yeah, oh yes, so Sargeant also did quite a fair bit of damage to the wall in the incident. My God, I'm now watching the incident. Magnussen is going around the outside, down the pit straight, out to turn 1, out to turn 2, out to turn 3, and oh wow, the Magnussen tangled with Sargeant, who Sargeant kicked his car around the outside of turn 3, and he had nowhere to tag. Magnussen had nowhere to go but to spin the rear of his car into the barriers. Oh damn. Damn. I think after turn 3, yeah. I mean, I know they gave Magnussen a penalty for that crash, but I think Sargeant could have easily yielded there. Goes on to the hard tires, and Lando Norris is going to venture back out onto the racetrack as the race leader, who has 15 podiums in Formula One, has a chance today with that to take the race lead. He pits under the safety car. He's out ahead of Verstappen. And now that is such a weird thing. I mean, the safety car picked up Max Verstappen. Like, what sort of thing were he doing out there? I'm trying to see what on earth happened because I didn't get to see it live.
Sometimes a bit uncomfortable with your cars that lap cars can unlap themselves, and I believe that's all to do with the software and the count. I can only imagine now what they have to do is the safety car to catch Norris and overtake him. Yes, they're going to have to back the pack up. That is going to be the way that it works, and everyone is behind the safety car that is now filtering through. So the pack has been released, and we will pick Lando Norris up as the race leader.
So, yeah, now it's time for my big question. Can George Russell become a world champion with Mercedes? Now, this one is a lot less straightforward to answer because Mercedes were world champion winning team when George Russell joined, but since joining Mercedes, George only has one race win to his name. It could have been two race wins had this car not picked up a puncher at the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. And of course, to this day, some people believe that George Russell was forced to bottle the race win for whatever reason. I mean, well, not bottle the race win. They told him they had a puncher, but you know you got to realize with Mercedes, their design team has been a total mess, and questions do remain. Can Mercedes truly get their technical team working properly again? I mean, what's his name? Andy Cowell left the engine department a few years ago. I think quite a few key Mercedes personnel like James Vowles left the team. Of course, James Vowles now team principal at Williams. I mean, George Russell does have a serious problem in that he's at a team that just simply keeps trying to take on unconventional design concepts such as the zero pods, like zero side pods, and like earlier on in the new 2022 technical regulations, which didn't work. And then they persisted with that zero side pods idea for the start of 2023. And then, of course, they had to cave in and switch to the Red Bull side pods design. And, dude, I mean, sorry, but George Russell is just at a team where I just don't really see, like, this is really hard to foresee how George Russell is going to get, like, a championship win with this team because how old is he now? Like 26 years old? I mean, in 2 years' time, he's going to be 28 years old when the new regulations come around with the new engines and new cars. I mean, George Russell is in real jeopardy at his Mercedes teams. And then, of course, there's his own racecraft where he has a habit of making some stupid errors under pressure. And we've seen him get involved in some stupid incidents like at Australia earlier this year where he got caught out by the dirty air of Fernando Alonso's car, and then he went and spun and crashed the car. So, you know, I don't know what it is with George Russell. He does make a lot of bizarre key errors. He can overreact to certain situations. He can leave too much room, but then there can be incidents when he doesn't leave any room. Like, you know, yeah, he's had these moments where he's outpaced Hamilton, but then he's just as capable of then being completely destroyed by Hamilton in another race. It's like I don't know what to make of George Russell. He's lacking consistency. Yes, I know obviously he's arguably quite good at driving a bad car with handling difficulties, but I mean there's times where he does seem to rely on a car to be set up in a certain way so they can really push the car to the limit. And then, of course, we have to ask ourselves who could be his next teammate after Lewis Hamilton. Could it be Kimi Antonelli? Like, if Kimi Antonelli gets up to speed, I mean, that's going to be curtains for George Russell in terms of being the team leader at Mercedes. And then, of course, there's always a chance that his next teammate could be Carlos Sainz. And, you know, Carlos Sainz has proven himself to be pretty difficult to deal with because Joel Leclerc has struggled to, like, keep dominating him, and that could be the case again for George Russell, who might well find himself absolutely hating having Carlos Sainz as a teammate. So I'm not certain whether George Russell can actually win a championship. In fact, if you were to tell me to rate his chances of winning a championship out of 10, I'd probably, well, Mercedes, that is, I'd probably put it at a solid 4 out of 10 because Mercedes have completely lost their way in the last 2 years. George Russell has often been found very frustrated, and then there's times where even when he tries to do strategy, it goes wrong in itself. So, I mean, I mean, well, so yeah, it's just a 4 out of 10 in George Russell's chances, and he got outpaced by Lewis Hamilton in Miami. So, what else is there to say about that? And yeah, I'm watching the replay of the race, and Oh, that was a very tidy overtake there by Lewis Hamilton and Tsunoda. As for, of course, Carlos Sainz, where he bought into the side of Oscar Piastri, and bloody hell, he was bitching and crying about demanding, was it Oscar Piastri defensive move, where he demanded that Piastri give up the position, and that if he doesn't do so, that Piastri should be giving a penalty. I mean, Sainz was having a bit of a, oh God, was having a bit of a moody day today, wasn't he? Oh my God, Carlos Sainz, honestly. Oh yeah, because Piastri was the all four wheels of his car went off track at the chicane, but of course that came after Carlos Sainz shoved him. But yeah, and then Carlos Sainz then goes and locks up out of frustration, really. And of course, yeah, there were, of course, Carlos Sainz, is fighting for a drive for F1 next year, like Audi, Red Bull, Mercedes. Christ knows where the hell Carlos Sainz could be off to next soon. And yeah, after the safety car, I mean, Norris was absolutely destroying for Verstappen for pace. And oh, look at that. Carlos Sainz did finally go around Oscar Piastri, but that actually broke part of Oscar Piastri's front wing, and that absolutely destroyed his weekend. Oh dear, it really did go horribly wrong after Carlos Sainz made contact with Oscar Piastri's front wing. I've got to say, considering Fernando Alonso got a penalty for that incident with George Russell at Australia, You could argue Carlos Sainz was quite lucky not to get a penalty for this collision with Oscar Piastri. I'm not saying that um Carlos Sainz did anything wrong in particular, but with the standards that the FIA have set with that Fernando Alonso penalty, I mean, I'm have to say Carlos Sainz was quite lucky not to be investigated because after that collision, Oscar Piastri went tumbling down the order in no time. And of course, Oscar Piastri, after that collision with Carlos Sainz, had to pay, and it just ruined his weekend because I actually think it wasn't just the front wing that was damaged, it was also probably the floor of the car that got damaged. And well, with the pit stop taking about 20 odd seconds, I mean, it dropped him right out of the order, having, of course, with the safety car having pushed all pack up. To be honest, I'm getting really tired. I think I'm just going to watch the race by myself. Like, thank you for tuning in. I know none of you are watching at this point. So, yeah, cheers, and I'll see you again next time.